What's up guys, Elliot here with another car launch reaction. Today we've got Red Bull's RB18, the first of the quote-unquote big teams, so it'll be interesting to see how developed the car is. It's a physical car, and even Christian Horner alluded to this in the launch presentation. It's likely to have moved on development-wise when we come to testing in the first race. I do expect this to have some talking points on the car though, and it's going to be interesting to compare the other 2022 car we've already seen, the Haas VF22. And of course, we're going to rate the new livery too, so be sure to stay tuned for that. As you can see, I've lightened the pictures because they were really dark, but of course Red Bull have still been very tactical with the angles they've used and are still hiding things on the car. So let's get into it. Starting off at the front of the car, right away you can see that they've gone with only 3 out of the 4 maximum elements on the front wing, and they're all attaching to the nose, and it's looking really clean. It's a very different nose concept to the Haas car. If you remember, the Haas was really squared off, and the lowest element was not attached to the nose. It was running right across under here, whereas it's quite a different concept on the Red Bull. The nose here is looking very low, it's quite pointy, and it's looking really sleek. As you can see, the nose is tapering in, so it looks like they've continued the slim nose trend of previous years, aiming to keep the airflow clean for further back on the car, like on the side intake, and for the entrance to the floor. As you can see, the front wing elements flick up and they curve into the side panel here, as prescribed by the rules. And this side panel is looking really basic. I fully expect this to become a bit more developed before the first race. But this front wing is just looking really nice to me. It just looks good, doesn't it? And you can also see here they've got the slot here for the S duct, so that's pulling in air from underneath the nose and squirting it out the top, and it helps to keep the airflow attached on the top of the chassis. Now, I think Red Bull have been really tactical with the shot they've chosen, and the suspension is really covering up the entrance to the floor here. You just can't really see what's going on. You can kind of see some strakes here, but yeah, they're being really sneaky, and you can't see a huge amount right now. Moving further back into the side pods, it's looking really similar actually to the F1 show car. The side pods are looking quite big, but a lot more streamlined than we saw on the Haas. If you remember the Haas we saw the other day, the inlets were tiny, but the bodywork came out really far, but this is looking a bit sleeker, so definitely some different concepts going on here. And then moving further back, this air intake at the top, pretty different to the air intake they had on the car last year. It's looking pretty angular on the bottom and curved on the top. And again, this is quite similar to the F1 show car. I've got a bit of a suspicion that Red Bull are hiding quite a lot here, and they've gone with a really basic car for this launch, definitely hiding some secrets. Keeping this air intake smaller definitely helps to keep the airflow clean on the rear wing, and because you're likely on the rear wing to not be producing quite as much downforce here, they probably want to increase the effectiveness of the rear wing as much as they can on the central portion, so that makes a lot of sense to me. If we move on to the side view, you can see that the floor is looking really basic here. Even on the Haas, there were some flick-ups and tricks going on here, but it's looking pretty basic. But this side pod looking really slim actually, isn't it? It's looking really streamlined. And again, comparing it to the Haas, it does look completely different. Unfortunately, the wheel here is hiding the entrance again to the entrance to the floor. I think this is going to be a really hot development area on the cars this year, and obviously Red Bull don't want to be giving away any secrets to their rivals. I mean, the barge board area is of course gone for the 2022 cars, and the barge boards were just such a hotbed for innovation, and I expect it to be the same here in this area of the car, because what the teams will probably try and do is still try and kick out the dirty airflow wide here to try and increase the effectiveness of the diffuser. So it's going to be a really key area on the car. And then if we move to the rear shot, I mean, the rear wing's got a huge spoon shape on it. Again, comparing it to the Haas, it's a lot deeper. It's got a really nice curve on it, very similar to the F1 show car. And you've got a small little flick up here which will be trying to control the airflow and the wake that the rear wing is producing, but I would expect this to change a lot before the first race. It'll be interesting to see how the different wing packages for downforce levels interacts with this side element here, because really the teams are going to have to maximise the amount of downforce that they can create on this central zone, because they won't be getting quite as much effect around here. See, they've got a couple elements here. On the Haas they only had one. It's got some nice shaping on it. And on the diffuser, despite lightening up the picture, you really can't see a lot here. Red Bull are really trying to not give too much away to their rivals here. They've got very minimal cooling. I mean, that's super snug around the exhaust pipe, and they've got minimal cooling here. I expect with different cooling packages on the car, this can be opened up, but it's looking super sleek at the minute. So let's take a look at this livery. It's very much an evolution of last year's, although the big change is the new title sponsor Oracle taking up the premium spot on the side of the side pod. They moved over to the flat design on the 2016 RB18 and it's been relatively unchanged ever since then. But I don't blame them though, it still looks great, and I think in the future it will go down as an iconic livery, along with cars like the early 2000s Ferrari and the red and white McLaren Honda. It does look great. If I could be critical of anything though, it'd be the yellow section on the nose. Just looks too long, kind of accentuates the really long nose. To be honest, I'm not a fan of that. If they could sort of move these balls down a bit, and I mean they wouldn't have to cram in the sponsors so much as well. It's just looking a bit too yellow at the front, but apart from that, it's a solid livery from Red Bull, and yeah, can't blame them for not changing things too much. So what do you think? Do you like the look of the new Red Bull RB18? And is it going to take Max Verstappen to his second World Championship title? Let me know in the comments below. If you liked the video, then consider dropping a like and subscribe for more F1 car launch reactions. If you haven't already, go check out my reaction to the Haas VF22. Click on the link in the top left to check it out. The next car launch is Aston Martin tomorrow. They're coming thick and fast now, so I'll see you in the next one.